Right, in this video, I'm going to tell you the story of how I made my first 100,000. Now, look, I want to make something very clear and just give a quick exclaimer or disclaimer. I'm not telling you the best way to earn 100 grand. I'm not telling you how anybody can earn 100 grand this year. I'm not telling you any of that. I'm just telling you a story. This is a story of how I did it. This was pretty fast, right? And I figured this out myself. This is not the best way to do it, but I can guarantee you've not heard anybody do it like this. Yeah, you haven't heard anybody doing like this. So let me just set the stage, set a little bit of context. So, 1 second, water break. So I'm 17 years old, right? I'm about to leave college. I'm applying for jobs while I'm at college because I'm fucking flat broke. Yeah, I don't even know what I was doing in college in the first place, to be honest. I didn't listen at school at all. Didn't really ever get any guidance on like what to do at college. So I just thought, logically, this is my primitive retardation mind. I just thought to myself, right, choose something at college that goes into everything. Business and IT, that's what I chose. I just thought business, yeah, learn business at college, then you'll be alright. So I went to this BTEC business course, yeah. Just bullshit, you know, you're learning business off people who've never had a business before, right? I had more business experience than these people teaching me business at college. Didn't learn anything, didn't listen, didn't want to be there. Needed to do a lot of self-development, had a bad attitude, that's just the truth. Anyway, I'm going to college every day, and then I start realising, you know, people are getting like little side jobs. Now, I'd always been entrepreneurial, always one of these kids that had been selling stuff, you know, since like 9 years old. I remember I was making my first flips, my first sales at 9. Right, I used to sell chewing gum on the swimming coach. You know, like in England, in like year 4, year 5, no, year 4, you go swimming. You go to your local swimming baths and you learn how to swim. Right, I would literally buy packets of chewing gum from the shop, not even wholesale or anything, and I'd just sell them as individuals. Right, won a lot of money, but it was like I knew how to buy and sell like that. That stuff was very, very clear to me. So that was the first time I started making little sales. So when I turned like 14, 15, 16, hanging about with the wrong people a little bit, you know, not the friends I grew up with, I've got some good friends back at home, but, you know, with some losers, to be honest, doing some bullshit. I were a bit lost, didn't really have any priorities straight, didn't have any strong habits, wasn't really into sport too much, didn't know the direction of my life, none of this stuff. Nobody ever came to me at college and said, oh, you should do this, you should do that. Nobody ever did it, right? So I just thought to myself, right, I'll go do business and IT at college. So I'm doing business and IT. Hey, started noticing people are getting little side jobs, right? So I thought to myself, well, yeah, it's normal to get a job at college. I need to get a little job. So I'm applying for jobs on a night time. You know, I'm working for my dad on a weekend and stuff. I'm applying for jobs on a night time. And JD Sports, a builder's merchant, just like bullshit retail jobs. Couldn't get a job anywhere, could not get a job. And I'm thinking to myself, like, right, I've got work experience on my CV. Like, I had 3 jobs when I was 13 years old, right? So I've got work experience, yeah? I've got the flipping first aid qualification. I've got some GCSEs. Like, I've got all this bullshit they tell you need, right? Not getting a job anywhere. Now, for me, I always think like I'm doing you a favor working for you, and I'm not going to just keep trying to conform to like the way that you're trying to tell me to do it. Like I'll just find my own way. So I just thought to myself, right, I need to start making money for myself. And so I'm getting to research mode, and I'm thinking, how can I start making money? I'm asking friends, asking my family member, I'm looking online, I'm searching on YouTube, right? And started watching this guy called Gary Vee and Grant Cardone at the time. These are like the first, you know, you search on YouTube back in like, this will have been what, 2017? They were like that would be like the first guys that pop up, like the most basic entrepreneurial stuff, right? And I'm watching them, and like Gary Vee is talking about like, you know, save your money, hustle hard, and I liked his work ethic. I'll be honest, I liked his work ethic. Obviously, I come from like working class Bradford work ethic, right? Like people who were working class in mill areas in West Yorkshire in England, hard working people, okay? Hard working people. Always worked for a little bit of money. They just fucking work and work and work and work. So I did carry that, right? I've always seen my family working. You know, not rich, but working, right? Always working. There's this thing that my dad used to say: this family's only ever been blessed with hard work. That's true, yeah. So I've always seen that work thing, right? So Gary Vee resonated with me, and he started saying this thing called flip life, which will buy and sell, buy and sell, buy and sell. You know, where you buy something from like an outlet store, or you go to a garage sale, which would be like a car boot sale over here. You buy something for cheap that people can't be bothered selling. You sell it on eBay and you make a markup. This was clear to me because I was always selling stuff as a kid, yeah. I always used to buy and sell stuff. I'd buy and sell stuff on eBay. I even at one time, right, one of the first online hustles that I had, I would go to this place called Cheetham Hill in Manchester, and this would be the place where they sell fakes, right? Now, I've got to make one thing very clear. My main business, which I've made the majority of my money off, was selling authentic designer goods, okay? Now, when I was selling fake stuff as a kid, this was not the same time frame. I never sold anything as real when it wasn't. Just putting that out there as a disclaimer, right? So I'm like 13 years old, going to Cheetham Hill. And it's basically, I don't think it's open anymore, but it was this road where it was like the middle of Afghanistan, okay? This was not somewhere you want to be, not somewhere you want to be as a child. It was rough as fuck. It's just dodgy. It was an illegal operation. There's shops and shops and shops and shops. And essentially you've got scouts that are probably illegal immigrants, and they're stood outside the shop. They open the door when you walk up to it, and then they lock the door behind you, and the shop is, you know, from floor to ceiling with fake stuff. Gucci caps, fragrances, Beats pills at the time, all the clothing, tracksuits, joggers, trainers, like every single shop just has loads of fake stuff, right? And I used to buy Hermes belts and Gucci caps, and I'd go buy these Hermes belts and Gucci caps, right? And I'd sell them on Gumtree, which is like a second-hand platform, but for in-person sales, a bit like Facebook Marketplaces now. And listen, let me tell you something, yeah? If you're selling fake Gucci caps and Hermes belts on Gumtree in Bradford, you're going to be meeting up with like the fucking scum of the earth, right? Pretty much. So when I was 13, I'd meet these grown Asian men, and I'd just jump in the car, right, and be selling them stuff cash in hand. And I'd just jump in the car and I'd be selling like the Gucci caps and Hermes belts, yeah. And even a little bit of money at the time, I just getting into buying and selling. I was trying to think of things to buy and sell. So that was like one of my first hustles I had going. Then when I was at college, I'm starting to think. I'm getting this messaging. I'm watching online this Gary Vee, this hustle stuff, and I'm downloading a bit of Grant Cardone's thought process as well. And I'm asking. I think my brother told me, go to Nike outlets, yeah. So there were a Nike outlet about 20 minutes from where I live. So I went with this guy from college, and first day I got there was 2 pairs, right, this was like the middle of the day, there were 2 pairs of Air Max 97 Silver Bullet Ultras. This was back when 97s were popping and the Ultras were doing well on that colourway, yeah. They were £67 and I sold them both for 120. That was like a little, like a £100 raise, yeah. Maybe a little bit, after fees. That was good money for me at the time. Like 100 quid, that was very, very good. Like people were out here working for about £6 an hour, right? This was like 2017, minimum wage of 2017 for a 16, 17 year old. It'll have been about a fiver, won't it? So this was good money. Like I was like, you know what, I'm onto something here. So I'm starting to go to the outlets more. Now, my main objective at this time was I need cash in, right? I had no specialised knowledge, no experience, no connections. I wasn't particularly smart. I didn't even have a vehicle at this time, right? Didn't have much going on. And so I'm just thinking to myself, like, right, I need to try and make money in any way possible. So I'm looking at I'm trying to do as much as I can, right? So I'm working markets on a weekend, every Saturday, some Sundays, because, my dad's a market trader, right? I'm delivering to cafes, I'm going into cafes, asking if they need anything, I'm helping my dad out sometimes. I am buying and selling my old stuff on eBay. I'm buying things off of eBay, cleaning them, selling them back on eBay. I'm buying and selling on Depop, which is like a secondary platform similar to eBay. I'm selling stuff on Facebook Marketplace. I'm selling stuff on my mum's eBay. I'm getting cigarettes and selling them. Like, I'd meet people at 9 p.m. Well, I'd tell people to come to my house at 9 p.m. to buy cigarettes and make £2 in a packet off me. You know, not the best way to make money in the world, but what you got to think is, right, for me, I would just compare my hourly rate for my age. You know, if I'm making in 5 minutes £2, I'll make that money, because in my mind £2 in an hour is better than £0 in an hour, right? At the time, because I just needed money in, I needed cash in, I needed cash flow, so I was just doing as much as I could. I would be allegedly selling nitrous oxide for catering purposes as well at a certain time, and I would also be collecting scrap metal, right? You see some metal on the side of the road, I realised people were weighing it in. I collected a load one time, I weighed it in, I got like 60-70 quid. I was like, you know what, it took me less than an hour to do, I'll make the money. I didn't give a fuck. Yeah, because let me tell you something, one thing I always realised is pride and a hungry belly are two things that do not go together. They do not go together, okay? So you can be proud and broke, but for me, that's the ultimate loser. So I was just doing as much as I could. Now at this time, you've got to think, I'm buying online, I'm buying online, I'm selling online, I'm buying in person, I'm selling in person, I've got in-person hustles, online hustles, I'm working on a night time, I'm working in the morning, I'm working on weekends, I'm working 7 days a week. I've cut off everything else other than making money. Everything I'm about is making money. I don't give a fuck how it's made. I am about making the money. I'm trying to get money together. You got to think, right? I'm sat with grands and grands and grands in my bank account, right? And I'm dressing like shit because I'm not spending the money on myself. Now, this is one of the most important lessons I ever learned about money, right? And Grant Cardone and Gary Vee do talk about this as well. But this is probably the biggest key in how I actually ended up getting kind of rich in the first place. I'm not rich anymore, by the way, but I was at one point. This is like what people don't like to talk about because it's not cool. But, you know, it's not cool, but getting rich is cool, and this gets you rich, right? So for me to like identify what I was doing at the time, like this, I made 100 grand real fast doing that, right? And because I didn't spend any money, all of that 100 grand, it was pretty much all profit, and it all went into stock. Because in my mind, I'm like, right, the more stock that I have, like this was the realization I made, the more stock that I have, the more money I can make. If I have that stock online, that's like my money working for me. Yeah? At the time, I couldn't get a mortgage and get a house, right? I started learning about money, and what I realized is you have to make your capital work for you. And your capital's working for you if it's got the ability of being sold, right? If you've got your cash in a house, the money's working for you because that's creating cash flow and income, as long as you're not living in the house, right? So I started learning the basics of money. I started trying to understand money, and I realized if you buy assets over liabilities, that's where you start earning money. Now, one thing that I never, ever did, I never spent my earned income on liabilities, meaning I never swapped my time for money and then spent that money on liabilities, because the problem is you will always not be able to replace the time, right? You can't get the time back, but you can get the finances working for you. So the finances can work for you, but you cannot win the time game because everyone's only got the same amount of hours, and you can't be in this process of giving all your hours up. That's why if you want to make some money, you're in an hourly rate, you've got to be strategic to get yourself out of that, because you're in a trap. Like if you don't treat that properly, you're in a trap, because you can spend the hours faster than you can get the hours back. That makes sense. So the principle that I realized, right, and the one that I was working with was I'm going to bring my expenses all the way down. Now, at the time, it was much easier. I was still living at home, and obviously I was pretty much a kid, right? So my expenses were at nothing, more or less, right? Nothing. I didn't go out. I didn't spend any money. I wasn't buying clothes. I wasn't buying Xbox games. I wasn't buying vapes. I wasn't buying fuck all. I wasn't buying anything. Yeah, I was not buying anything. You can ask anybody about me at that time, yeah, they'll have said I'm the tightest guy you know. Now, everybody used to call me tight, yeah, everybody used to say you're tight, and I was tight. However, I was sat on grands and grands and grands. I had always had lumps of cash on me. I was making big dough, right? But I was just quiet about it. You wouldn't have been able to tell because I was focused on the bigger picture, right? I was focused on the real money. I wasn't focused on the short-term cash. So this is what I did. I brought my expenses all the way down and I brought my earning potential all the way up. And what this cash in between that was created went into stock to even amplify my earnings, right? So my earnings are growing and my liabilities are staying as low as possible. Now, when you're a bit older and you're living by yourself and you've got Wi-Fi and car bills and fuel and monthly expenses and you're taking some ungrateful bitch to Nando's, yeah? You know, it's going to get harder to do. So when you're young, it's a really good time to actually start getting serious about this, in my opinion. This is actually the best time. So it was this gap I was constantly creating. Big lesson I learned here. And look, guys, this is the same fucking thing that I'm doing right now. Like, you know, look at this apartment. This is £320 a month. It's not the nicest apartment in the world. Yeah? I'm not, you know, I'm posting vlogs when I'm at my mate's villa or I'm going to the sauna and ice bath. I'm not doing that every day. Like, I'm not, you know, what I had for my dinner last night, I had a full rotisserie chicken on this very table right here. Yeah? 120 baht, which is about £3. Cheap meal, lots of protein, it's like 2 meals in one. You know, I'm budget living because what I know is this is a game of probabilities, yeah, and you're gonna have the most probabilities when you can bring your expenses down and you bring your earning potential all the way up, right? Now, the caveat to this is, you know, you see a lot online like guys say, oh, serving on the Starbucks won't make you rich. You've never been broke before saying shit like that, right? Because if you're broke and you're spending £6 a day on coffee, like you're a retard, right? You're a retard. Like if you're spending 50 quid a week on some bullshit you don't need, when you're really at the bottom, yeah, really at the bottom, you need that money. Now, one thing that I will say is once I started making money and I had proper cash flow coming in and it was where I needed it to be, I was not tight. Like I was spending money every day. I'd spend about £1,000 a day. I could spend 10 grand without flinching, right? But I'm buying assets. Yeah, I'm tight on the liabilities, but I'm not tight on the assets. The assets go all in because the assets are making me money. The assets are what leads to the big money. The liabilities is not making me money, right? And I'm not one of these guys who's like, oh, save. Listen, I go more holidays than any of my friends, right? I love to go to events. I love clothes. I love to buy shit, right? But you've got to start thinking a bit smarter. And that's what I did the first time, right? And yeah, and look, that life it's not too fun. Like you're gonna end up a bit autistic about it because you're just spending loads of time on your own. Yeah, it's not fun. It's not cool. You don't feel cool at the time, but you know what it is. There's something real G and gangster about, you know, everybody presuming you're one thing, but you're really something else. Yeah. You know, when everyone thinks a certain way, you're like, oh, you know, he's not up to much. What the fuck's that guy doing? But only you know what you're really up to. Yeah, only you know where your finances are at. Only you know your next move. But it's very clear to you, and you're very certain on it, and no one else can seem to imagine it. So yeah, that's what I did. That's what I did for my first 100 G's in sales, and you know, that gave me the capital to really grow. Did millions in sales off that, and yeah, we're rich for a little bit, and I'm doing a version of that again. That was the main lesson. Super simple. Bring your expenses down, bring your earning potential up. What's in the middle, reinvest it, keep doing that eventually. And look, guys, we're talking about 1 or 2 years of doing that. You can change your fucking life. So yeah, that's what I did. Would I do that again right now in 2026, 2025? Probably not, right? I'd probably do something with AI. Now like everyone's making money on the internet, there's loads of businesses you could do. At the time, I didn't know about any businesses. I didn't know anybody making money on the internet. There wasn't as much opportunity than there is now. And I just did what I physically could at the time. But even me starting then with that amount of skills, that amount of experience, that amount of knowledge, if you're just willing to do the most, then you've got a chance out here. Listen, I'm a working class kid from Bradford. If I can do that off nothing, like fucking hell, I used to do the market stalls. Listen to this final hustle I'm gonna tell you about. I used to do the market stalls, collect all the coins off the market stalls, and what I realised is the special edition coins sell on eBay, and I used to sell the coins on eBay. I used to have to be so resourceful and squeeze every last drop out. Again, there's much better hustles than all these. These are what I did. These are just what I did. At the time, I didn't know. Now I've got a lot more skills, but that's what I did at the time. That's how I made my first 100 G's in sales. So yeah. You've just had all that for free. How incredibly lucky that you are. Now, go ahead, subscribe to the channel, and yeah, see you on the next one.